All right, we're in the final stretch. In this video, we're going to focus on protists and say a word or two about animals and archaea. So protists, what did we already know? Your notes in the pathogens unit should have addressed whether they're prokaryotes or eukaryotes, why they're grouped together, and how they're categorized. Yes, they're eukaryotes. They're grouped together because they don't fit with the other kingdoms. They're not plants, animals, or fungi. That said, they have some similarities. So as a kingdom, historically have been grouped. They have tended to be lumped into the most plant-like, the most animal-like, and the most fungus-like. So three kinds of groupings. Now that we know more about evolutionary history, we know that their taxonomic relationships are more complicated. But for simplicity's sake and historically, they have tended to be grouped in those three ways, what they most resemble. Now then, y'all took some amazing pictures and did some amazing inquiry with the protists. I just lifted a few that I thought were especially notable here, where you really were able to employ excellent microscopy and get some great images. In addition to honing microscope technique, another skill we practiced with this exploration was using a dichotomous key. So we're just going to walk through using that key for this image. On the right, I have a picture of it. You should have it in your notebook, the dichotomous key. If you don't, you either need to print one or get one from me if I still have any. So when we look at this picture, we start with a first question. And the first question 1 says white or colorless or with color. This is quite green. So we go with color, and it's like a choose your own adventure novel. If it has color, it says 4. That means we go down to question 4. And question 4 is like, well, is it blue or is it green? I found it a little bit difficult to see blue convincingly in some of these. That said, this looks convincingly green to me. So we go with green, and green tells you to go to question 5. So question 5 says, is it a spherical colony or an elongate single cell? Colony means what you might think it means, a whole bunch of cells living together. And indeed, each one of these dots is an independent single-celled organism that just likes to live in these round spherical colonies. If you took that cell away, it could live on its own, join another colony. So this big circle is not one organism. It is a whole group of individual cells that can live on their own. So yes, this is definitely a spherical colony. And so therefore it is volvox. Many of y'all saw volvox in your microscopes, and it's pretty cool. They kind of spin around. They spawn off, you can see in Matthew's picture of it, several what we call daughter colonies. So inside that bigger sphere, sometimes volvox arrange themselves in littler spheres, which then eventually will roll out. Some of y'all saw your volvox looking a little bit like Pac-Man, where it kind of had a pie shape chopped out. That often happens when the sphere kind of pops open and these smaller spheres roll out and roll around on their own. So that's how you use a dichotomous key. In the next activity, after this video, you're going to employ this dichotomous key to another example in order to identify it. So we're going to finish talking about protists with a moment of zen, perhaps, of one protist gobbling up some others. You can see the cytoplasmic streaming in that amoeba as its pseudopods reach out and engulf those parameciums, or paramecia. Now it's actually surrounded it, and right about now it's going to release digestive enzymes, and the paramecia freak out because they're like, something, I'm being broken down. Those enzymes are breaking down the cell membrane and digesting. They're being digested right now. So those paramecia are now food. Well, they were food. Now they're bits of food. There you go. You're welcome. I hope you've eaten already today. So let's switch gears a bit and think about animals just for a moment. In your section of your notebook where we've set aside space for animals, go ahead and jot down what we already know. We already know animals are eukaryotes. It's a whole kingdom in eukarya. They're heterotrophs. From the notes you took on fungi, you know that heterotrophs don't make their own food like plants do from photosynthesis. You got to go find your food. You got to go find something dead or kill something or get the byproducts of something that's alive to eat. Yeah, a couple of y'all, Sophie and Natalie, actually got some microscopic pictures of animals or animal cells. Sophie had a boo-boo, a pre-existing boo-boo. No, I did not let anybody cut themselves and put their blood on a slide. Nicholas. And so we see some blood here, and you can see the red color. That's from hemoglobin. It's a protein with the job of carrying materials. It carries oxygen to your cells. We'll do a virtual lab later in the year where we take a look at that. And Natalie, with her pond water, found a water flea, which is a teeny tiny little crustacean. So that's kind of fun. Finally, archaea. Flip to archaea in your notebook. What do we know about archaea? Not much yet. You may know some things, but as a class, we don't know that much, and we will fill in more information about them next semester. So, move on to the next and final thing in this module.